So, today what I wanted to do was shift gears a little bit. Instead of continuously talking about former Vancouver Canucks captain Quinn Hughes, whom I'm definitely not salty that he's not here anymore, let's talk about the main piece that Quinn was traded for. Of course, we're not talking about Liam Ugrin. Technically not talking about Marco Rossi in this video either, or the first-round pick, which the Minnesota Wild sent over to Van. But instead, we are talking about Zeev, a guy whom we've already made at least one or two videos about, discussing the potential that he has and where his ceiling lies. Is he the next Morgan Rielly? Is he the next Miro Heiskanen? Is he a guy that maxes out as a power play quarterback and nothing more? Or can he be a true number one defenseman? Can he be in the conversation for the Norris one day? Who knows? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments where that conversation goes, but in this video I wanted to refer to a piece of audio commentary made by Jeff Marek on the Sekeres and Price show earlier on the weekend. I'll leave a link in the description to this video, posted by the SNP Twitter account. Jeff Marek explains the sliding door moment that led to the Vancouver Canucks getting Zeev Buium from the Wild. Now, I don't want to play the clip in its entirety here, so let's just read and react to what exactly it is Marek says. He brings up that the turning point, the sliding door moment for Vancouver to get Zeev Buium, was the Vegas draft in 2024 in the Sphere, and how the Anaheim Ducks at 3rd overall took Beckett Seneca. The reason Marek brings up this moment as to being the Vancouver sliding door opportunity for Buium is because of all of the rumors. A lot of people going out there and saying that Zeev Buium was probably going to go 3rd overall to Anaheim. Now that is the entire video clip. Marek, despite the eloquent way he tells stories on podcasts and radio shows, despite the fact that he's able to do that, it's a pretty simple story here. People thought Anaheim would take Zeev Buium at 3rd overall, and they didn't. They took Beckett Seneca. And because of that, Zeev Buium slipped all the way to Minnesota, which opened the door for Vancouver to get him in a trade. Marek says that if Zeev was not available, and if Minnesota didn't take him, there would not have been a Quinn Hughes trade. And here's the thing about that. I think it's a pretty easy thing to go out there and say, like, I'm not going to pretend that Jeff Marek reinvented the wheel here, because really it's the most duh kind of thing that you could say about a draft pick or a player. If Zeev Buium wasn't drafted by Minnesota, then Zeev Buium couldn't have been traded from Minnesota to Vancouver. Like, duh. But I do think it's quite intriguing, because when you look at some of the mock drafts of that 2024 NHL Entry Draft, you're not going to find much consistency amongst the board. For example, NHL.com, their mock draft saw Zeev Buium going either 6th overall to the Utah Hockey Club or 7th overall to the Ottawa Senators. ESPN's mock draft also had Zeev potentially going 6th to the Utah Hockey Club. For reference, in real life, Zeev was taken 12th overall by Minnesota, which is quite bizarre when you consider the fact that this was a guy that some folks had ranked as high as number 4 on their draft list. Cough, cough. Craig Button. Despite the fact that Zeev was a unanimous top 10 pick, top 9 at worst, in most of these scouting outlets and their draft boards, Zeev slipped all the way to number 12, and we spoke about this in the video when the Canucks originally acquired Zeev, but it's not like, oh, he was the top defenseman and then there are a bunch of forwards that went earlier in the draft ahead of him. No, that's not the case. Lev Shunov, Yakimchuk, Parekh, Silayev, and Dickinson all went above Zeev Buium. He was the 6th defenseman taken off the board, despite the fact that some folks were thinking that this guy could be a top 5 pick. And if 3rd overall really was the projection heading into the event, If Jeff Marek's sources are correct here, that yeah, no, Zeev Buium, there was a big smoke screen, that's the word that Marek used, a smoke screen, that Anaheim could have taken him number 3, then I do kind of question the idea where it's like, oh yeah, well, he almost went 3rd, which is why Minnesota was able to get him. Like, I don't know, man, he went 12th. It's not like he was taken immediately after. It's not like this was a Filip Zadina situation. Back in 2018, Filip Zadina was supposed to be the 3rd overall guy. But he slipped all the way to 6 because, hey, guess what? A bunch of these teams needed to take centers instead of the projected wingers that were going to go up in the draft. And the Ottawa Senators just liked Brady Tkachuk more, which makes a lot more sense there. For Zadina's case, he was supposed to go 3, but then he slipped all the way to number 6. In Shane Wright's case, in 2022, he was supposed to be 1, and he slipped to 4. I have a hard time believing that the Anaheim Ducks are directly responsible for Zeev Buium's acquisition by Vancouver because he slipped from 3 to 12. Like, that just seems like too big of a jump in my mind for it to actually have any correlation with Minnesota acquiring the player in the first place. You can bring up the debate that connects it in the same way. Like, I remember back in 2022, Shane Wright went 4th, not because he wasn't worth 1st overall, but because of a very specific list of reasons. One, Montreal just thought that Slafkovsky was more impressive at the Olympics and the World Championships and whatnot. They thought he had a Mikko Rantanen-esque ceiling. Number 2, New Jersey, they didn't want to take Shane Wright because they already had Hughes and Hischier. Number 3, Utah, or Arizona. Was it Utah? I don't remember at that time. They didn't take Shane Wright either because they were like, well, we already spent all this time scouting Logan Cooley because we didn't think Wright would be available. We like Cooley more. Let's just take him. And then Seattle was like, okay, well, we could take Wright. He slipped all the way to us. Let's just make it happen. I doubt that the same kind of conversation happened 8 times between 3rd overall and 12th overall for all the teams that passed on Zeev Buium and even all the teams that took defensemen over the guy. Like, it was a little bit of a crapshoot. I don't think that it's as dramatic as Marek is making it seem. But of course, though, I mean, it's Jeff Marek. He's one of the top prospect guys, NHL insiders, Sportsnet guy with Marek and Rasinski and 32 Thoughts. He's got a good resume. He has sources. He's at these events, too. But I do find it interesting, the idea that, oh, Anaheim helped Quinn Hughes get traded. Anaheim helped Zeev Buium go to Vancouver. The other question is, if Zeev was not available in that 12th overall spot, who would the Minnesota Wild take instead? I honestly think they would have just taken whomever else was available, like Parek, Silayev, Dickinson, Buium, in that order. They all went back to back to back to back as defensemen in the 2024 draft. If Buium was taken by any of these teams earlier, I would probably assume the Wild just take the other guy. And Vancouver, by all accounts, they were interested in Anton Silayev from the New Jersey Devils in a trade, even though right now you could say that Zeev is a lot better. Actually, yeah, no, that does dissuade it a little bit, right? They wanted Zeev because he's already NHL ready. Anton Silayev, he's still in Russia, still chilling, still developing. Now, full disclosure, Zeev is better than all of these other guys. I would say that the only defenseman that you could debate is better than Zeev Buium out of this draft is Artem Levshunov, but even then, he doesn't play the same dynamic offensive style that Zeev does. He doesn't take control of the offensive zone like Zeev does. Zeev is an offensive wizard that you could probably only say Zane Parek can match in terms of offensive output and potential. I would even debate that Zane Parek might even have a higher offensive ceiling than Zeev does. But that's why he was taken 9th, and it's why Zeev was taken 12th. Either way, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with this assessment that the Anaheim Ducks passing on Zeev at 3rd overall to take Beckett Seneca was part of the reason Quinn Hughes was able to get traded to Minnesota, and part of the reason that Vancouver even got the deal done? Do you think the Hughes trade could have been done with any other prospect? Why or why not? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.